Hello students, welcome to my class. In my last lectures, I was discussing about the theory related to this topic. That is the chapter number 6, that is the metallurgy. Today we will discuss few questions based on this topic. How the questions asked and what is the value of this chapter. Clear my friends? So let's start the topic, that is question number 1. Look at what is given here. Wait for a moment. What is the role of silica in the metallurgy of copper? Okay, yes sir. As we know, the important ore of copper is copper pyrite, CuFeS2. Yes sir. Definitely when reduction, first of all concentration, then there is a roasting take place. What will happen? It gives you Cu2s plus Fes. Clear my friend? Now Cu2O on further reduction, that is my friend roasting, gives you Cu2O plus SO2. Clear to you? Yes. Now FeS, that is roasting, on reduction converts into FeO plus SO2. Clear my friend? Now this FeO is impurity and this is my friend basic oxide, that is basic impurities. Yes, impurities. Now to remove FeO, what I am telling, to remove FeO we use acidic flush. So what is the role of silica? To remove the basic impurities FeO we use acidic flush, and SiO2 silica combine with FeO and form FeSiO3, my friend, and this is my friend slag. So in simple word, if anyone asks you, it is 1 marks question, then what is the role of silica? That is, the role of silica is to remove the basic impurities, basic oxide FeO by forming slag. That is the simple explanation. Am I right? Yes sir, you are absolutely right. I am going to rub this part, I will discuss the next part of the question. Wait for a moment. Next one, how is cast iron different from pig iron? As we know, different forms of iron. If I talk about pig iron and cast iron, clear to you? If the carbon content is around 4%, then it is pig iron, and if the carbon content is around 3%, that is cast iron. That is, the iron which is obtained in blast furnace, that is it is known as pig iron, and pig iron contains 4% carbon as well as impurities. Clear to you? As well as impurities. Again I am repeating, that is pig iron, the iron obtained in blast furnace is known as pig iron, and it contains 4% of carbon as well as few impurities like SiP. Clear to you? What is cast iron? By cast iron, that is contains 3% of carbon. That is, by melting pig iron and scrap iron at high temperature with using coke also, we get cast iron, and this that is cast iron can be prepared by pig iron, my friend, and it contains slight lower percentage of carbon than that of pig carbon. That is 1 marks question is simply, that is, you can write in one word, it contains 4% of carbon content, that is pig iron. If contain 3% of carbon, that is cast iron. As I told you during my lecture, that is few things I will discuss by making questions. That is, what is the difference between cast iron, pig iron, steel. Clear to you? So now I am covering the entire topic related to this chapter. So follow my question, my friend, it will clear your concept. Now copper, as I told you again, copper can be extracted by hydrometallurgy but not zinc. Why? As we know, is very simple, listen carefully. Copper can be converted to copper 2 plus if we treat it, or copper 2 plus can be converted to copper. When it is treated with highly electropositive metal, or you can say highly reactive metal. That is, if I write here C, general observation, if I write here CuSO4 plus Zn, then what will happen? It gives you ZnSO4 plus Cu. If I write here Fe plus CuSO4 aqueous, it gives you, that is FeSO4 plus Cu. What I'm looking here, that is Zn and iron easily displace copper from their aqueous solution, from their aqueous salt solution. Because why it displays? Because the electrode potential of Zn and the electrode potential of Fe is negative. That is, they are more reactive, because the electrode potential of copper, my friend, is positive, around 0.34, and here the around 0.7 and 0.44 like. So if it has negative value of electrode potential, that is the reduction potential, that is highly reactive than copper, so it can easily displace the copper from the aqueous salt solution of copper sulfate. And this process is known as hydrometallurgy. So copper can easily be displaced by Zn and Fe. But if I talk about Zn, as we know, Zn has negative value of electrode potential. Yes sir, Zn has negative value of standard reduction potential. Now we require much more negative value of reduction potential, that is, we require such element which has much more negative value of electrode potential than zinc. That is, if I write here aluminium, if I write here calcium, if I write here potassium, these all have the reduction potential much negative than zinc. But when we consider this metal, that is, when treatment with water, they easily liberate H2 gas, my friend. They liberate H2 gas rather than to displacing Zn from the aqueous salt solution. So these metals, though these metals has negative value of electrode potential, much more negative value of electrode potential, still they cannot be used for the hydrometallurgic extraction of zinc or displacement of zinc from their aqueous solution. Clear to you? And they are cheaper than zinc, so the process will be much more they are costlier than zinc, so the process will be much more costlier. Clear to you? So we do not use aluminium, carbon, aluminium, calcium and potassium in hydrometallurgy for the extraction of zinc from their salt solution. Clear to you, my friend? That is the case. Now I am going to rub this part. Now let's move to the next one. The next question is question number 4. Now listen carefully what is given here. Question number 4. Out of carbon and carbon monoxide, which is better reducing agent? During my lecture, Lingam diagram, I have discussed this thing. As we know, at 983 Kelvin, above 983 Kelvin, carbon is better reducing agent, my friend. Again I am repeating, follow my lecture, I have discussed this thing. That is, above 983 Kelvin, carbon is better reducing agent, but below 983 Kelvin, carbon monoxide is better reducing agent, my friend. This is the case. Again I am repeating, carbon is better reducing agent and above 983 Kelvin, but below 983 Kelvin, carbon monoxide is better, because above 983 Kelvin, carbon monoxide is stable, and the formation of carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide is less efficient in comparison to the conversion of carbon into carbon dioxide. So carbon is better reducing agent above 983 Kelvin and carbon monoxide is better reducing agent below 983 Kelvin, and this all judged by my friend Illingham diagram, that is delta T delta S, that is the graph between, do you remember, delta H formation and temperature play a role whether the process is spontaneous or whether the process is non-spontaneous. I have discussed this thing, my friend, do you remember? Yes sir, this is the zone 983 Kelvin, and these are most valuable question generally. They ask the question according to the weightage of the question, you have to reply. This is just a 2 marks question, just simple explanation is required, but the if the weightage of question is around 3 and 4 marks, then completely by using Illingham diagram you explain this, and I have discussed these things, my friend, in my lecture sheet in my ebook. Clear to you? Now I am going to rub this part and we'll discuss the next question. Wait for a moment. Clear? The next one. Now this is completely for you. Zone refining and column chromatography. This is a modern technique of refining of metals, and zone refining, this is depend upon the solubility of impurities, and this method is used to refine very pure, for the refining of ultra pure metal, for silicon, for germanium. And what will happen, that is based on the fact that impurities are more soluble at the melt than the solid state of, than the solid form of the metal. Clear to you? What is column chromatography? That is column chromatography based on the principle that is at different zone the different colored substance are absorbed at the particular adsorbent. What I am telling, this chromatography, this technique is based on the fact that at different level, at different level, the adsorption of different substance take place, that is the different color substance take place, and by the process we easily separate them. Clear to you? Column chromatography, layered chromatography, paper chromatography, these are the types of chromatography. Clear, my friend? I think you can easily explain. I have given the detailed explanation related to this one during my lecture, as well as in ebook I have also explained these things. Clear? Now let's move to the next segment. What is the next segment here? Check it out. Now the next segment, look at question number 6. Write the chemical reaction. Again I am repeating, that is, write the chemical reaction taking place in the extraction of zinc from zinc blade. Clear? Now as we know, the first process is, my friend, concentration of ore. Concentration of ore. Yes sir, definitely. And which method is applicable for the concentration of zinc blade? As we know, the zinc blade has formula ZnS, and ZnS is, we people know, this one is, my friend, sulfide ore. Yes, ZnS is sulfide ore, and for sulfide ore the best process is, my friend, froth flotation process. Do you remember? Again I am repeating, that is, for sulfide ore the best concentration method is froth flotation process. Am I right? Yes sir. Now after concentrated ore, what will you do? That is, my friend, that is, now the process is roasting of ore. Why roasting? Why not calcination, my friend? Because this is a sulfide ore, and sulfide ore can be converted to oxide ore when it is treated with oxygen at a high temperature. Around the temperature will be 1200 to 1300 Kelvin, and in this case that is the ZnS will be converted to my friend ZnO, and byproduct here, that is SO2. Now the third process, tell me my friend, sir, the third process is my friend reduction. Now we have two better reducing agent, carbon and carbon monoxide. By using the Illingham diagram, which one is the better reducing agent? That is carbon. It reduces, that is zinc, ZnO to zinc plus Cu. Here the temperature is around 600 Kelvin, my friend. Now what we get? Zinc. Now in this case it contains still few impurities, and for zinc the better refining process is my friend electrolytic refining. Do you remember? The next one is electrolytic refining. In electrolytic refining, what will happen? We will use impure Zn as anode. Clear to you? Impure Zn as anode, and the solution is ZnSO4 solution containing H2SO4. So what I am telling, the electrolyte here is ZnSO4 containing H2SO4. Clear to you? And pure Zn act as a cathode. Pure Zn is taken as cathode. What will happen? The complete redox reaction will take place, and we get pure Zn at cathode, my friend. Again I am repeating, pure Zn at cathode. As I promised you, according to your NCERT book, I will discuss the extraction of few metals during my numerical solving sheet, that is problem solving. So I am discussing the things, that is write the chemical reaction taking concentration, roasting, reduction and electrolytic refining. I have discussed each and everything in detail, so you do not need to further remember those things, just understand, and whatever the case, whether it is copper, whether it is Zn, whether it is iron, the process is very simple. Command over the theory, you can solve each and every questions, my friend. Now I am going to wrap this part and we'll discuss the next one. Wait for a moment. Now the next one is that is the question number 7. Suggest the condition under which magnesium could reduce alumina. As we know, the formula of alumina is Al2O3. As magnesium could reduce alumina, under we know any element can reduce the other one if there is a role of temperature and overall delta G comes negative, my friend. This is as per the Illingham diagram. Okay, if as we know delta Z is equal to delta H minus T delta S. If the overall value is delta G is negative, then what will happen? We can say the reaction is feasible. So if we rise the temperature, then what will happen? There is a maximum probability for the delta G comes to be negative. So condition is, if I increase the temperature and temperature around up to 1623 Kelvin, then Mg has a ability to reduce Al2O3, my friend, and forming MgO plus Al. This is the condition, my friend. You can explain in detail by writing the reaction, or simply you can say if the temperature rises up to 1623 Kelvin, then in this, under this situation, delta G value comes more negative and magnesium will reduce alumina and give you aluminum back. Clear, my friend? I think now you can do this question. Clear, my friend? Now let's move to the next question. Now, what is the next question here? Check it out. The next question here is, what is meant by chromatography? What is meant by chromatography? I have discussed this thing lots of time, my friend. Chromatography, chromography, that is color observation. And what is the role? What is the role of adsorbate and adsorbent? In chapter number 5 also, and chapter number surface chemistry also, adsorption by using adsorbent, and chapter number 6 also, chromatography. Now you have to do this. What is the role of cryolite? Cryolite is, my friend, Na3Al6. Clear? What it do in the metallurgy of aluminum? First of all, it increases the electrical conductivity of the solution. Yes, during electrical conductivity of the electrolytic solution. What I'm telling, my friend, again I'm repeating. What is the role? Cryolite is used during the extraction or during the extraction of alumina, during the metallurgy. First of all, it increases the conductivity of the electrolytic solution. Second one is, my friend, it lowers the melting point of the electrolyte, that is alumina, my friend. It lowers the melting point of alumina, which is the prime component for the extraction of prime ore for the extraction of aluminium, my friend. This is the thing, and you can easily do it. I am giving you few seconds to think on this and solve this. Write down the role in your book, in your copy, and tell me whether you are correct or wrong. Chromatography, chroma, color, graphy, observation, color observation by using adsorbent, my friend. Clear? So do it. I am giving you only 2 minutes. I think, friend, you have done this. So let's move to the next segment, next question. Wait for a moment. The next one is the question number 9. Now look at the question, what is given here. Read the question first of all, what is given. That is, the reaction delta Z is equal to -421 kilojoule is thermodynamically feasible as in apparent from the Gibbs free energy value. Why does it not take place at room temperature? Why it not take place at room temperature? This is the best question. Listen carefully. As we know, delta G is equal to -2.303 RT log K. That is, delta G directly linked to the value of equilibrium constant. Am I right? If the equilibrium constant is more, the value of delta G will be more and more negative. At room temperature, what happens? Listen carefully. At room temperature, all the reactants and products are in solid phase. Yes, are in solid state. So we cannot. So there is no existence of equilibrium. If there is no, we get a negligible value, no value of K. In this case, but when temperature increases, when temperature rises, then what will happen, my friend? That is, chromium starts melting. If the chromium start melting, that means to say, my friend, that is delta S become positive, delta S increasing, which ultimately make T delta S more negative. And finally, what will happen? We know delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. So overall, delta G become more and more negative, which makes the reaction feasible. Again, I am repeating, at room temperature, all the reactant and product are in solid state. That is, there is no existence of equilibrium constant or equilibrium, because as we know, in as I discussed in class 11 chapter number 7, if there is a if you want to get the value of equilibrium constant, if all the reactant and product are in a gaseous state, then what will happen? All has value concentration, active mass is taken as 1. If taken as 1, we ultimately get the value of K is equal to 1. If I put here 1, log 1 is equal to 0, which ultimately make delta G is equal to 0. But if temperature increases, that Cr starts melting. If melting, that is, we know solid convert to liquid, so there is an increase in entropy. If there is an increase in entropy, then what will happen? T delta has becomes more and more negative. If T delta has become more and more negative, put the value, what will happen? Delta G ultimately will be negative. If delta G will be negative, we people know there is a feasibility of the reaction. Am I right, my friend? This is the explanation. I think in your words you can completely explain this question. Clear to you? Yes, sir. Now I am going to rub this part and we will discuss the next question. What is the next question here, my friend? Look at the question number 10. What is given here? What is the role of graphite in the electrometallurgy of aluminium? Clear, my friend? Yes. As we know, in electrometallurgy of aluminium, graphite is taken as anode. Yes. Listen carefully. Graphite is taken as anode and the graphite lined iron is taken as cathode. Yes, sir. Again I am repeating. Graphite as anode and graphite lined iron is taken as cathode. What will happen during the extraction? What we get? Aluminium at cathode and carbon monoxide at anode. What graphite does in this process during the electrometallurgy? Graphite restricts the liberation of O2. What I am telling, it restricts the liberation of O2 at anode by forming CO and CO2. Clear to you? So, it restricts the further conversion of aluminium into Al2O3, because if there is a formation of O2 at anode take place, then as we know, aluminium has affinity for oxygen, so aluminium further will be converted to Al2O3. Big role. Again I am repeating, if graphite is used as an anode, then it restricts the formation of O2 at anode by forming CO and CO2. If oxygen O2 forms at anode, then it will react with aluminium and form Al2O3 again. So, for prevent the liberation of O2, we use O2 at anode, we use graphite. If we do not use graphite, use graphite as an anode, if we use another metal except graphite as anode, then what will happen, my friend? That means to say that is there is a liberation of O2 at anode take place, which will oxidize the metal electrode also, and as well as aluminium liberated at cathode. Clear? My simple explanation. Are you getting, my friend? This is the case. What I am telling, if you have a command over the theory, then you can easily solve each and every question. It completely depends on you. If you have a command over all the process involving related to metallurgy, then you can easily get the answer. Now next question is, how is leaching carried out? Leaching, this is the chemical method of concentration of ore, of low grade copper ore. Is very simple. As we know, low grade copper ore is treated with H2SO4 in presence of oxygen when Cu goes into the solution as Cu2 plus ion. So by using acid, that is Cu plus H2SO4 plus O2, my friend, it gives you CuSO4 plus H2O. Clear to you? Again I am repeating. How? By treatment with acid, by treatment of low grade copper with acid in presence of oxygen, leaching is done, where Cu goes into the solution as Cu2 plus ion. This is the case, my friend. Now look at here, balance, that is 2, put here 2, that is 2H2SO4, 4, 2CuSO4 plus O2. Clear to you? These are the questions, my friend, and definitely you can practice maximum number of questions is up to you, or if you have any doubt you can easily approach to me. Again I am repeating, as I discussed during my lecture also, Illingham diagram is most important. For Illingham, especially for Illingham diagram, follow my lecture 2, 3 or 4 times, my friend. I have given the detailed explanation related to Illingham diagram, because I know it will help you a lot while solving question in upcoming board examination. So if you have any doubt, again I am repeating, you can easily approach to me. So friend, these are the few questions related to this chapter. In my next class, I will discuss new chapter, new topic. Clear? Till then, bye bye. Thank you so much.